Welcome back to the program. All right, as we wind down our obsession over corona, one last topic, and it only touches on coronavirus as it is being used to push politics, all right? And one wouldn't think that the coronavirus could be used to push socialized medicine, and yet it is. I'm looking at this weekend's, I believe it's this weekend's USA Today. Let me just make sure I've got the, March 9th. So it was updated. This was published just yesterday, updated today. And it's a physician from Hawaii. Isn't that curious? Because we actually have a guest from Hawaii standing by on the phone right now. A physician from Hawaii who is complaining about surprise medical billing, a huge problem in the United States. And somehow by the end of the opinion piece, connects coronavirus, surprise medical billing, and the answer is socialized medicine. Brooke McGowan is standing by. The MAGA Institute is an organization you founded. You work with other great organizations like Americans for Limited Government, a number of others, and you're working on the issue of surprise medical billing. But here it is, Brooke. Socialized medicine, and you're from your state as well, a physician from your state who says the only way to solve the problem of surprise medical billing, which will be made worse by coronavirus, is by going to a socialized government healthcare system.
Well, isn't that curious? Because, in Hawaii, we're already socialists. I mean, this state has gone so off into the deep end of corruption, it's not even funny. So to hear that doctor speak about that, that doesn't surprise me one iota. But what does surprise me is when we look at the solution that California has made, you can see that it's no solution at all. They've got where they are truncating all of those surprise medical bills with controlling them. One size fits all price controls, and that's no solution. What the unintended consequences of that in California have resulted in closing down of rural hospitals, the loss of private practices, so doctors are leaving in hordes. So that's no solution at all. But the problem we're having currently is that Lamar Alexander's bill in the Senate right now in committee mimics that bill in California. So what we're doing with MAGA Institute and Americans for Limited Government is raising awareness that we cannot have this be the solution. What you see socialists do and the Democrat Party do time and time again, Vicki, is create a crisis. And Rahm Emmanuel said it best, never let a crisis go to waste. Create a crisis and then present you with the solution to the crisis, which, of course, is only in their, under their purview.
And, of course, price controls are going to cause scarcity. Of course, that's necessarily going to happen. What is the, you've looked at this, and I suppose the physician is, in fact, in USA Today, he's right, that the cost, let's say, for an ambulance, if you have to get from one island to another, you're using an airplane, right? So you are talking about costs that could be substantially more than I might have to experience here in Wisconsin. Okay. So what's going on? How is that becoming something that somebody opens up an envelope one day and almost has a heart attack in the price? I mean, how did it get to the point where we were getting surprise medical bills in the first place?
It's really an unintended or intended possibly consequence of Obamacare. They didn't hammer all these things out in the first 2 years of President Trump's presidency. From 2016 to 2018, they were constantly talking about 280 days. I think they're talking about, Obamacare, AHA, and the Republican solution did not solve this problem. The Republican solution, because let me tell you, what we're doing at MAGA Institute is trying to bring up candidates that are actually America First agenda priority, MAGA agenda priority. What you had in 2016 was Paul Ryan and his ilk, Justin Amash, these guys who are not America First. They're not going to care about the American public. They're going to use, many of them have their hands in big pharma. Many of them have their hands in big insurance companies. If you look at the SEC, open the books or followthemoney.org, you see many of them have a lot of their support from those sorts of lobbying. Big pharma, big tech, big insurance. Specifically,
though, isn't it? I mean, it seems to me that when you have so many different physician companies that are contracting to, let's say, a hospital, and, you know what your insurance is going to pay in network, but you're not sure whether or not the anesthesiologist that's contracting to do your procedure is in network. Lo and behold, you might actually, open up your bill one day and see you've got, $8,000 that you owe because that's not covered by your insurance. It seems to me this is not a a tough nut to crack. Why couldn't you? I mean, you guys at MAGA Institute are suggesting that there's a pretty easy way to do this, and that is to have a third-party arbitrator take a look at whether or not these bills make sense.
Absolutely. It is tricky. Isn't it a trick? I mean, like you go to the doctor and you see, well, first you find out.
It just happened to me.
Me too. So I had cataract surgery in 2017. Is my cataract surgery covered? Oh, yes, it's in network. Oh, but guess what, by the way? Just because it was in network didn't mean I was going to be not having to pay for anything, because $6,500 was my deductible. Do you know how much my cataract surgery cost? $6,500. My daughter takes a trip to the hospital because she has a wreck on her moped. She goes maybe 2 blocks in an ambulance and has this $1,800 bill. I mean, these things, we have to have a third-party arbitration if they're just going to continue to just pour out like that, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's the simplest thing. You just simply say, if there's a dispute over a medical bill, because here's the thing, and I just had a really basic procedure. I had 3 different bills. 1 came from the actual hospital. 2 came from different contract services that were part of a team that went to that hospital, had privileges at that hospital, and were part of this procedure that I was. So I have bills from them specifically, and I have a bill from the hospital as well. Trying to figure out what that price is ahead of time is almost impossible. So it seems to me, Brooke, 2 things need to happen. 1, we need to actually have real price transparency. So if I'm going for an endoscopy, I need to know what my out-of-pocket price is going to be based on my insurance. And that should be up to somebody else to figure out, not for me to figure out after I've had the procedure. Secondly, if there is a dispute, I'm done. If I have to be the one handling my own dispute, I don't have time to do it. I don't have the skill to do it. I don't have the knowledge to do it. So to be able to actually require there to be someone there to help you manage a disputed bill, I think that makes perfect sense.
Well, and there is an alternative like that actually in Congress. It's U.S. Representative Phil Rowe out of Texas. His bill would address the issue of surprise medical billing utilizing neutral third parties, as we're talking to somebody else. Who's got the time? You don't have the time. I don't have the time to be on the phone all day long with you. And how long are you on the phone with the insurance companies, right? Constantly, hours and hours. So also Bill Cassidy out of Louisiana and Michael Bennett, they have similar legislation in the Senate. So we're really trying to move away from the Lamar Alexander solution and not just take the easy road, because we've already seen the unintended consequences of that in California, the loss of rural hospitals and many private practices shutting down. But let's take another step. How about everybody just take a deep breath, right? How about we just calm down for a minute, take a deep breath. Coronavirus is not going to kill us. The flu will kill you before coronavirus is going to kill you, as you can see the numbers.
I have seen everything, you pile everything into the latest emergency crisis, right? So suddenly, when it's not coronavirus in a couple of months, it's going to be something else that means we should go to socialized medicine and price controls. But right now, you've got people taking advantage of the fear and the panic and trying to find that as a way to move the needle on socialized medicine. You got Joe Biden out there claiming he's got the solution, Brooke, which of course is the public option, which would be the government controlling price on insurance product. And so we'd all be vacating private insurance, and then the government gets to tell us whether or not we get the care in the first place.
And that's the single payer problem. That's the socialized medicine that we're trying to keep away from. That's what's happened in the UK and now Venezuela and Canada. That's why they come here to try to get good care. We don't want that for America. That's why we're standing against that. At CPAC, the whole theme was America versus socialism, whether it was socialized medicine or whatever, that you hear the Democrat Party constantly, lifting up like it's the heaven from heaven above.
Like it hasn't failed every time. Like it hasn't failed every time it's tried before.
Failed every single time. So here we are. Impeachment didn't work, right? Here we are. We're just 8 months out from the election. Coronavirus is now the height. There's never a time when their cortisol levels are not at the highest level ever. Coronavirus is going to die out in a couple of months. Already in China, they're talking about where they were having 4,000 new cases per day. They're down to 200, so it's starting to die out. It'll die out over here. It'll die out all across the world. What are they going to be doing to us in May and June and July and then the October surprise? There's always going to be some kind of crisis that only socialist Marxists can fix.
You know what, Mike?
I believe the Trump base is onto them.
I'm concerned that good pieces of legislation, like simply something, of course, it's not giving us the transparency that would be necessary, but at least giving people neutral third parties to use to resolve medical billing disputes without having it first kill your credit rating, right, and empty out your bank account, and then maybe you'll get some dollars remitted back to you if you are successful in your medical dispute. No, stop, pause, use a neutral third party. I'm afraid that's going nowhere because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let it move in the House, not in a million years, right, because it would in very short order start to get its arms around the problem of surprise medical billing. And this is something that we have seen crop up with the proliferation of these organizations that use contract services. But Brooke, I'm out of time. Hey, I'm just going to say this to you because I can't help but do it. Aloha. and then hang on. What is thank you in Hawaii? Is it mahalo?
Mahalo, my dear. Yes, but I do want your listeners to go to stopsocializedmedicine.org to learn more, or MAGAinstitute.com. I appreciate being on your show, Vicki.
All right. I appreciate it, too. Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. Brooke, from the MAGA Institute, Brooke McGowan, that's her name. We'll take a quick break here and be right back.
Making a splash in your bath starts